Next week's federal budget is expected to take a hit from Victoria's COVID debt levy, with economists warning that Victoria's perilous economic outlook is becoming a greater burden on the nation's finances. But Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen is promising cost of living relief. But there's no doubt, Patrick, the Victorian budget in particular is going to be ugly. We've got the highest debt of any state. And we're looking at that debt growing to more than $177 billion by 2027. It's
unbelievable, isn't it? I think the only winner here is South Australia, because New Victoria is like the old South Australia, this part of the country that just drags back the rest of the nation.
We're going to become the butt of jokes again. Remember back in the Joan Kerner days, before we had the major projects-led recovery? Yes. We were the butt of jokes, and I did not like it back then, and I don't think I'm going to like it this time around.
Well, the big problem now are the major projects that nobody really understands why we're getting, like the suburban rail loop, which is going to cost tens of billions of dollars. Nobody really wants it. No one understands it. We can't afford it, and that's what all these petty taxes are coming into. Victorians are being gouged to pay for these things that we really don't want.
We don't, but we also are getting these little bribes or sweeteners, $400 for every school child, but that comes from the taxpayer. That's just adding to the debt burden. But
that's right.
Is that going to fool the electorate? Are they going to look at that $400 and be happy if they've got kids? If you don't have kids, you don't get a cent.
Well, that's true. Look, everyone loves a cashback, don't they? Something for free. It's not a huge amount of money. I think it's only $287 million in total. But there are a lot of people who are paying taxes that they weren't paying, a year ago or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Who might get this $400 back. The balance sheet for them isn't terribly good.
Absolutely. Well, and the way the taxes are going up, they're absolutely hooked on property taxes in this state, and you're seeing land tax soar in particular. Now let's talk a little bit of royals. I know you love the royals. Sources close to King Charles say that the family are concerned about his workload as he looks to supercharge his diary after spending 3 months receiving treatment for cancer. A source close to the king said he is a bloody caged lion, driving everyone around the twist if he's stuck at home. He has been frustrated because there is still so much he wants to achieve. Patrick, Prince William is said to be worried that his father is doing too much too soon.
Well, look, a lot of people wouldn't appreciate it until you actually cover a royal tour as a journalist or cover the Queen's funeral. King Charles works his tail off. He actually, and you'll be a journalist sort of trailing him around. And it's like, then we're going to go there, and then there, and then there, and then there's a street walk. And that service belief that he inherited that from his mother. He really does believe in it, and I think it makes him happy. If he can work, he should be working.
Well, he's been waiting for this role his entire life, and he got it quite late, unlike his mother. How do you think the king is going as far as keeping the monarchists happy and also keeping the Republican sentiment at bay? Because there was a lot of conjecture that once he became the monarch, that's when the Republicans were going to strike. He wasn't going to be as popular as the Queen and probably not as popular as his son William. But he seems to be doing a pretty good job, and the regard for him has increased.
Look, the Republicans have been sort of savvy, if you like. You get media releases from the Republican movement, at least weekly, if not daily, sort of talking to what they say is the fact that it's so foreign and distant and archaic. Against that, look, I think everyone loves a royal tour. He'll come out at some point, presumably. Won't be the same crowds as his mother got in 1953. But a lot of people are fond of the royals. Their grandparents trusted in the royals to do the right thing. And that has sort of flowed through. And I don't think the Republicans have had that sort of pushback that they might have anticipated.
And I think after the race-based referendum of last year, Australians, the last thing they want is any sort of referendum. It is just not something that we want on our agenda. So, I think and also the Republicans can't come up with a model. You need to actually come up with a model that you can take to the Australian people. And that's, I think, where they fall over. at the first hurdle. Now, to the US, and this story is something else. I've avoided talking about this because how do you approach this story? It's so bizarre. This is the South Dakota governor, Kristi Noem. She was enormously popular. She may still be, but she certainly sustained some damage after revealing all sorts of odd details in her memoir. Things like how she killed the family pet, a 14-month-old puppy who apparently was attacking other animals and people. And she also killed a goat, Patrick. But it's the way she writes about this in No Going Back, her memoir, the graphic detail, the way she almost seems to be proud of putting these animals down. I don't know what she was thinking, because she was being talked about as an outsider for Trump's Veep. That's certainly completely gone now, and she's become the butt of jokes, and others have completely been appalled by what they consider animal cruelty.
Well, I can't wait for the sequel, because presumably she'll talk about drinking her own urine and communing with JFK through the spiritual world. And I did love the story I most liked about this. It started, vice presidential hopeful and self-confessed dog killer.
That's quite a title.
You're pushing uphill at that point, aren't you?
Oh my God! It's just self-inflicted damage. You would think, what are the people around her telling us? Surely someone would have had the good sense to say, yeah, maybe this sort of thing in the country may be accepted, but people living in the cities just are not used to shooting their own dogs, and they will frown upon this. Patrick Carlyon, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Rita.